Here's Johnny.
I'll be back.
And you will know my name is the Lord.
And I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Groovy.
Oh, right. We have a podcast to do.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might be our intro. We'll have like an hour of us talking about fucking comic books. And then be like, right. So your next is pretty awesome. And then we'll all agree. This is your part, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Box Office
Yes,
Pulp
it
recommends. Who's next?
That's a wrap, everybody. And then we all leave. And that's the podcast. And it's like 4 hours long, and only 3 seconds of that is actually talking about your next.
So it's appropriate.
Yes. Yeah.
But the people do
I'm gonna use
know.
that as the intro. We're gonna run with this now. This is how we're starting off the podcast.
Hold on. I have to leave for a second.
Oh, god damn it. Now I got an edit point right away.
I'm so glad I'm the one who has to send this file to you. I'll edit it appropriately first.
No, come on.
It's too
Let
late.
me have some here.
No, I got like 6 pulp nightmares in this thing now.
Turns out Flexo is going to be guest starring for a long time. Doesn't even know it. Oh, I recently bought my 1000th movie.
You tracked
It was
that?
Blade. Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet.
Question: Did you already own Blade on DVD?
No, I don't count those twice.
Okay.
That'd be cheating. I only count the title, not the format it's on, and I don't count my VHS tapes or like the 50 horror movie classic collections. That doesn't count. So yeah, it turns out it's Blade.
That's appropriate.
Number 1000.
I don't know how that's appropriate, but it's appropriate.
Yeah, it's nice. I've got an Excel spreadsheet set up where I keep track of all the movie titles, directors, other parts of the series, like if there's a prequel, a sequel, a remake, a spin-off of this film.
Jesus Christ.
And then, like runtime and what genre it's in, and who I have it borrowed out to in case, like, I ever get a friend.
So, have you ever gone to therapy?
It could be beneficial, but I feel like I would not respect the person enough to actually learn from it.
Honestly, I don't think this is... Doing a movie podcast isn't healthy for Flexo.
I feel like we should be doing more movie podcasts. I want to do this thing where each night I just do a small write-up on each movie in my collection, just go through alphabetically.
That's what Tumblr's for.
I think, no, it'd be great. We could post it on Tumblr, we could post it on Facebook for the Box Office Pulp page so people have something to look at and get annoyed with.
Sorry, on Adam Wingard's IMDb page, I didn't know that this movie was made like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was
For some
made
reason-
before VHS.
Yeah, Lionsgate bought the rights to it, and
Never
they
did
just
anything with it.
sat on it. They played it in festivals, and they got a lot of positive buzz on it. And I think they got confused, because they were just expecting, like, oh, another horror movie, we can just dump this wherever. And they found out people liked it, and they're like, shit, we've got an opportunity to make money, now what do we do with this thing? And they just hung out into it forever, and then dumped it in August right next to, like, the fucking Purge and got slaughtered. So, way to go, guys.
Lionsgate knows anything. Oh, we should probably just start the podcast with this.
Yeah.
If Lionsgate knows
that was
anything,
my plan.
it knows when to buy a movie and then waste it immediately.
Yeah. Midnight Meat Train?
Midnight Meat Train, Dread, anything they've ever bought, Repo.
Yeah. On the plus side, like, this movie was so low budget, even their efforts to tank it didn't really work. Like, it was made for, like, I think $1 million. There was, like, $10 million in advertising. And I think in America it made, like, $30 million altogether, so...
Oh, I can actually check this real quick.
It is funny to think that this movie was actually made when home invasion movies were big. Now, the way it's been released now, it almost feels like a memorial to them.
This
is the epitaph of a genre.
Yeah, if you've got the DVD and you listen to the commentaries, it's funny because you can hear Adam Wingard like laughing, like, when we made this movie, these things didn't exist, so we're not ripping them off, we swear.
You also
and then The Purge came out, and you guys all saw that instead of our film, thanks.
So angry.
It's great because they recorded the commentary now because it finally is coming out.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, still existed back years ago when they made it, so they get some perspective on it.
It also seems like he still wants to do like a straight home invasion movie. Like this accidentally became half a comedy.
I think that's why I love this one so much.
Look, the comedy.
There are 1,000 different slasher films out there, and normally you're laughing at them because characters are doing such stupid things, or the concept's so outlandish, but no one recognizes it. In this film, it's a comedy without any jokes because the joke basically is the premise. Like, really, how often do masked men try and break into your house? It's a weird scenario.
Not enough, if you ask me.
Yeah, you could have wacky antics.
Also, Flexo, if we started the podcast, you should probably do the intro.
I was thinking about that, but I was going to pass. Anyways, I'm your host, Cody.
Welcome to... No. You passed. Welcome to Box Office Pope.
You all screwed up. God damn.
It's Mike's turn. We've done terrible things now.
I won't play your game.
Okay, so no one is introducing the podcast.
They know the title. They click download.
We don't have people who listen to this show.
We're nothing. We're just voices now.
Well, I mean, that's always ever been.
Yeah. Well, I'm Mike.
Box Office Pope recommends Raging Against the Darkness.
Box Office Pulp always recommends that.
Box Office Pulp recommends going to CrossFit to escape your inner demons by working them out through sweat.
Please tell me the entire working out conversation is going to be at the beginning of this.
I would like to include it, but Mike has editing duties, apparently.
No, I'm just excising everything for Pulp Nightmare later on. I'm sorry.
You're stealing all my material.
Yep.
None of this is going to make any sense if you cut out half the stuff. You know that.
Edit this conversation out, Flexo.
I like leaving the stuff in. It feels more real.
It too, buddy. Anyway. You're next.
But we're here to talk about You're Next, which, to me, one of my favorite slasher films. I know it's new. Don't care. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Semi.
Not as much as Scream.
Yeah.
I didn't catch what you said before, sorry. I was waiting for a follow-up.
Just keep going.
Alright, fuck it. Anyways. I got to see this movie in a theater at like 10 o'clock at night. It was completely empty, like opening weekend, with two friends. So it was just the three of us sitting in the theater. It was the greatest experience. We're sitting there feeling the movie out like we don't know it's a comedy at first. Like, is it okay to laugh? There's no one else here to gauge that laughter on. You know, there's no weird guy in the corner who's kind of chuckling. We just have to feel it out. And by the end of the movie, when, spoilers, one of the bad guys gets a blender to the face, you just know, deep in your bones, this is a fantastic slasher comedy.
Spoilers.
It's not shitty made. I said spoilers before I spoiled.
Spoilers. That person was next.
You were actually next. You, in your house, are next. Woo, woo.
Spoilers, Barbara Crampton is still hot.
They actually grabbed her for one of the commentary tracks.
Great
Which is
commentary.
weird because her character dies 30 minutes into the film.
Great commentary, by the way.
It is, actually, yeah. Both commentaries are fantastic.
Especially Wingard insulting mumblecore movies.
Or a story about, his just horrible tooth pain the entire time, so he thought the movie was going to be terrible. He's too distracted by his pain to care about the film. That's not true. I think he cared about it quite a bit. I'm not his mom. I shouldn't go into that kind of detail.
That's actually a funny observation. One of the things I liked about this movie is a similar kind of thing to what Cloverfield did was fill its cast with all of those upper middle class mumblecore yuppie characters that you've seen in every indie movie for the past 10 years, and then just kill them off one by one.
The fact that they have Ty West in there playing the most pretentious film douchebag and getting an arrow in the face, I mean, I think that says a lot about their attitude. And
his scarf covered in blood.
Yeah, they're very self-aware.
Which again, what I like about that is it's a joke, but not really. There are no jokes in this movie. It's just a comedic sensibility.
Yeah, it's the way the actors play off them, each other, and the awareness of the situation,
Like I said to Mike after I first saw it, it's essentially a secret comedy.
Yeah. I'd be fascinated to watch the movie with somebody who, for at least 70% of the movie, didn't know that there was any comedic elements to it. And they were just going completely over their heads.
I imagine if I saw this in theaters with more people, that would have been very common.
Yeah.
Because you could take the movie completely straight if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, even the part where Drake runs out and he's got the arrow sticking out of his back and it hits the wire. It's it's hilarious, but it's not shot like it's hilarious. It's just a funny thing that happens.
And the part when he pulls the arrow out and he passes out in the most exaggerated way possible. Just rewatching the film for the look on his face is one of my favorite parts. Just, thud. Or when the camera pulls out and you see he's got 8 screwdrivers impaled in him.
And it can either be played as really horrifying or fucking hilarious, and it works as both at the same time.
It does. Because his brother just stabbed him. You can see he's crying. He just found out his wife has died. He's having a horrible, horrible moment. All of a sudden, it's like, I am covered in screwdriver holes. What's happening?
I think it's the only horror movie since, I think as far back as An American Werewolf in London, that does a complete 50-50 split between humor and horror.
Yeah.
It's so rare to see a horror film where they can navigate those tones so well. Most of the time, there's some comic relief, but it's just there to get a couple people to laugh. It's not really there to pad the film out or be a big part of the film. It's just there because someone at the studio said, maybe we should lighten this up. You're Next, they definitely know what they're doing, and the tone is just beautiful. I can't think of too many other slashers that manage it that well.
Yeah, there's no comic relief in the movie. If anything, the entire movie is comic relief for a genre.
I think the closest you can get to comic relief maybe is when there's the line, fuck me next to your dead mother.
I think that's the closest one, but even then it comes off as just weird.
It's genuinely disturbing. Like, I don't like this idea, but it's hilarious. I don't think that's a fair thing to say. And they're so serious about what they're talking about.
It's like you never realized how ridiculous home invasion movies were until you see this movie.
I really feel like I would react like these characters if I was in a home invasion situation. Like, you'd have the people screaming, and then you'd have people just stone-faced about what's going on.
I like the idea that the movie starts out as like this dysfunctional family dramedy, and then after the horror starts, still continues to be that same movie. Like, they're still arguing over stupid, petty shit, like, in the middle of the third act.
Who can run the fastest when one guy's got a crossbow bolt in his back? How would you know? You don't ever run, you fat fuck.
As far as a home invasion movie goes, even a home invasion or slasher, how it completely just turns on itself, where as soon as that part of the movie starts, Aaron is pretty much better than the actual killers, so they're just going down left and right.
Yeah.
Beating the shit out of them, so it's like... There's like
you have to love that. There's always the final girl in horror films, and she's the final one because she just hasn't been killed yet. This one, she's tough enough to actually survive the scenario. Like, you would not want to fuck with her. You would just give up and go. That'd be the only way you get out of it.
Aaron is one of the best horror protagonists, in recent memory.
Hands down. I can't think of anyone, even Sydney from Scream. Like, great character. I still think this one's better.
It's like, she's such a great audience surrogate character. It's like it's taken this long for somebody to make a horror movie where the main character does all the things that people in the audience want her to do.
Yes.
I love she basically goes into Home Alone mode, which I love. Let's get some boards and put some nails through them. Let's tie an axe up to the door. It's all the kind of stuff you sit around and think about. Everyone's got their zombie apocalypse plan. I think everyone should have a Your Next plan. Like, okay, if someone tries to break into my house, how would I survive?
I would be curious to see if that character would have still worked as well before she was supposed to be Australian.
The second you hear her speak in that accent, you just believe that she's a badass.
Yeah.
They kind of talked about that in the commentary. Like, originally she wasn't supposed to be.
She auditioned with an American accent.
Yeah.
And when they found out she was Australian, they were like, fuck, just do that.
That'd make everything make so much more sense. I didn't even feel like they need to explain anything from her past. Like, there's the line where she explains, I was raised on a survival compound by my father till I was 15. And it feels like it's shoehorned in there. I would have just gone with it. Like, the way she acts just tells me, she knows what she's doing. Good enough.
I just like the idea that they just happened to pick the one chick who was accidentally a badass. Like, they could have done research.
As the way they described it in the film commentary was, she doesn't want to emasculate her boyfriend, so she doesn't, show off how tough she is. She's kind of dumbing it down to make him feel better, because Crispin's kind of a crybaby.
She's married to Robert Kirkman.
God damn it, he looks so much like Kirkman, it weirded me out.
He sounds
a little
like
bit,
Kirkman.
yeah.
That's how he got his
Alter ego
dead.
Kirkman?
One of my favorite parts of Crispin's character is his fucking professor pouches on his jacket. It's never really referenced, but they're just there.
He's an intellectual.
He is an intellectual. But no, they do so many things right in this film. I love the masks. It's iconic. It's simple.
Masks are so good.
And it's a great case of taking something and making it really scary at first, but then having the ridiculousness of it slowly dawn on the audience throughout the 3 acts.
Like, how would you be able to see shit wearing that mask?
Yeah, it's like by the 3rd act, they just look funny as hell, wearing these idiotic animal masks while they're fucking falling into traps and shit.
I also like the inverse thing they did where, Lamb Mask is the biggest and most badass of the one, and Tiger Mask dies immediately.
Tiger Mask is the first one to go down, just gets his head pummeled in with a meat tenderizer. Ah, so badass.
You guys, it's almost like it's a metaphor for something.
Ooh.
I mean, I think
that is a good point, though. All the characters... Sorry to cut you off there. I've got a point to make, damn it.
Go on.
Go on, run with it. All the characters kind of... They go in with one not outlook. Let me start that sentence over. Shit. All the characters start off and you perceive them one way.
Yeah.
Like, Drake just seems like a total asshole. Crispin seems like the nice, friendly guy. All these characters start off in one perceived mode, and then when the shit hits the fan, they all switch, and you get to find out who they really are. Like, Drake turns out to be a fairly decent guy. He's very concerned about his family. When he finds out his wife is dead, he actually breaks down in tears. It's not like in most horror films where you find out a beloved person's dead, and they're like, no, all right, moving on. I had a significant other. So all these characters kind of switch and take off their masks throughout the film. We find out Aaron's actually like the super commando badass that no one would have ever guessed.
Yeah, the entire movie is just about perceptions.
So deep, man. Also axes.
So many goddamn axes.
But even the start of the film, it starts off on like just a sleazy kind of sex scene. And it's not a really funny scene. It doesn't quite gel with the rest of the film. It's like it could be the cold open to any other slasher film. But once we get to the first person dying in the house, Ty West taking that arrow to the face, you feel a completely different movie than that. It's like they wanted you to go in with one expectation and hit you with something totally different.
The things I like with the twist later on was there was this weird movie within a movie thing going on where they were trying to make a home invasion slasher movie just for this weird classic 1950s get the family fortune plot that was actually going on.
I did like the red herring they threw in the beginning. They mentioned that the first guy to die, in the opening was like a college professor or something like that. And you find out Crispin also works at a university. So if he's like, oh, there could be some sort of connection. But no, it's just completely superfluous. It's just there. That really, most of the movie I was looking at that as going to be some form of motivation for the characters.
What I love about that plot twist is any other movie would have that twist revealed in the 3rd act.
At the very end,
yeah, just to push the characters towards a final confrontation. But this movie does the smart thing and has it happen halfway through so that it actually affects the course of the movie instead of just being a plot twist.
And it's genuinely surprising that way, too. You don't expect it to come at, like, the 40-minute mark or whatever. When they show the dad die, you always expect this kind of big twist to be, the big finale. So I love that. That was great to see in theaters.
And after that happens, the entire movie changes around that twist. So it's not just there for shock value. It becomes another movie. Right.
There's a difference in the tension. These characters can't be alone together. Gotta watch out for this guy. Now okay, there's a guy with a mask outside you have to watch out for, and there's a guy inside the house you have to watch out for different reasons. And it adds so many more layers to the film.
Yeah, it's like the RoboCop of horror movies. At every turn, it stops and thinks, okay, what's the smart way to do this scene? And then it does that.
It does have a bitchin' action score like RoboCop did.
It's so 80s, I love it. I thought the filming style was interesting too, because there's a lot of really shaky stuff, which it's a low budget film. I get that they have to move on and get the shots quick. But you get a mix of stuff. Like sometimes it'll be really shaky, and sometimes you'll get slow motion, beautiful shots of someone tripping and dropping 14 knives on the ground.
The shot of the sister like running out of the door is the most beautiful and horrible thing.
Oh, we all know something's terrible. Something terrible is about to happen.
The last thing anybody expected happens.
Oh, the tripwire. I know. I never would have called it. I was just sitting there like, oh, as soon as those doors open, she's gonna get hit with a crossbow bolt.
Nobody calls a tripwire setup just because they expect someone to run out of the house screaming at some point.
Which again is
and
the
it's perfectly
smartest
set
thing
up for
to
the
do.
throat. It just perfectly lined up with her throat, like they knew it had to be one of the girls, apparently. And there's an actual reason for the cell phones not working.
Which he brings up himself later on at the beginning and then turns it off later on in the movie.
Yes. Because normally it drives me nuts in movies. Like, they always have to find an excuse. Like, why don't cell phones work? And this one, they just got it out of the way in a way that felt organic. Like, it was part of the plot.
I still say the best way to cancel out cell phones is magic.
Yeah, or just set your film in, like, the 1980s. Like, this film probably worked just fine if it was actually a period piece. I can't think of too much that happens where it dictates it has to be set in the present day.
Well, Australia didn't exist in the 1980s.
Ah, you're right.
It was still a prison colony.
Yeah.
It was still orbiting the Earth from space. It didn't crash into the Atlantic Ocean until 1994.
Plus, Crispin's patches are 4G, so.
They give off Wi-Fi to wandering hobos.
Actually, a better reason would be Foxmass couldn't be listening to an iPod while he's killing people, which is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
There's
That is such an understated part, too. He just pulls them out, and if you're not really paying attention, you wouldn't catch that, I don't think.
What do you think he was listening to?
That's a very good question.
I bet he's got some zombie on there.
Yeah. I still like the reveal that the killers are just, three guys that Z probably found behind
I'm going to assume, like, ex-military, maybe.
Two of them did mention they were in the military, but I don't think Fox Mask was. I think he was just some weird drugged-out dude that probably sold Z, like, meth at some point.
That's another great, deconstructionist thing they do, is in any other movie like this, the killers would be these larger-than-life, satanic, all-powerful figures. In this movie, they're just three really pathetic dudes.
Well, let's just point to the nail scene where he steps on the nail and just flails around and can't get it off his foot. Like, they need to get help so he can get that off of his foot.
It takes him, 2 scenes to get the board out of his foot.
That's when the movie's dynamic changes again, and it just becomes Aaron becoming the slasher, and them as the victims.
Exactly.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Well, she even gets the classic slasher scene in the basement where she knocks out all the lights.
I think that's a great thing they never covered. Like, if you've ever played an intense game of hide and seek, there's always that little bit of adrenaline, like, I know someone's coming, I'm hidden, but I still feel nervous. Like, you've got the upper hand and you still feel kind of nervous about the situation because it could all turn on you.
Cody, how many intense games of hide and seek have you played as an adult?
More than I would care to admit.
He's playing one right now.
You're recording this from my basement.
I have to be very quiet. They're onto me.
I can't think of another horror movie where I've seen the heroine turn the tables on the antagonist so completely.
And so quickly.
The only thing I really have to complain about in the film is just the ending almost seems like it's a little too cynical. Like, it has to get that joke in, like, with the cop dying. And it leaves the question of, like, is she alive? Is she dead? How the hell do you explain this to the cops?
It kind of felt like they just had no idea how to end the movie.
Well, she was originally supposed to die.
They said they started with the ending first, like that was what they had in mind. And it's supposed to be everyone's dead in this house. And okay, how do we work backwards from there? And then partway through the film, they even filmed her getting shot in the head. They changed their mind and said, okay, no, that's going to be a terrible idea. So they changed it where she gets shot in the shoulder and implies that she could live.
Yeah, I mean, over the credits, you can see that she lived. They're looking at her as a suspect.
Which is maybe even worse. Yeah, well, just a suspect. But I think it also has a picture of her, propped up against a wall or something.
Yeah.
I want to say that's probably taken from the alternate ending, but I could be wrong.
Probably. It's the indie movie, everybody dies thing, unfortunately. So yeah, the cop dying thing felt a little forced too, but with the axe to the face. It made for a cool last shot, but...
I don't know, there's a need for that one last kind of dark joke that maybe, or gag, I guess, that kind of pushed it over the edge. Although, yeah, I'm not really sure how you'd end something this way. Like, she's fine, everyone's dead. Just play, looking for the magic again and end the film.
Great song.
And so catchy. So goddamn catchy.
That axe at the door, though, is still an excellent gun on the mantle to have for the entire third act. It's like in every single scene, you're like, somebody's going to get that axe. Somebody's going to get that axe.
And they do such a good job in the movie, too, setting up expectations and just playing them off. Like, they have a good balance of, oh, this is surprising, this is going exactly how we feel it will go. Like, when the one girl runs out of the house, you know she's going to die, but you're not expecting the tripwire.
Nobody expects the tripwire.
Nobody expects the tripwire.
That's how it gets you.
Well, no one's expecting a guy to walk around with an arrow in his back for half the movie.
Yeah. Or Erin, like, when she's confronted by one of the guys in the mask, she just jumps out a window.
That was awesome.
Again, the thing you always want the character to do in movies like this.
I think one of my favorite parts of that jump out of the window scene, too, was, like, she throws the meat tenderizer at him. But I guess it was scripted that it was supposed to hit him in the face, but she misses with it and hits the wall beside of him. Then she jumps out the window. There's something better about the fact that she missed that makes it just amazing.
They're saying in the commentary, like, in her first throw, she hits him, like, just like she was supposed to, and then every take after that, she missed. So they're like, oh, whatever. We don't need it.
Mike and I were actually discussing this the other night. Something that's always bugged me, that people in situations like that never just throw shit at people. The thing everyone would do if they were confronted like that.
It's one of my favorite parts of Saving Private Ryan, when the guys run out of bullets and they just take their helmets off and throw them at each other. Like, I feel like that happened a lot in real life.
It's certainly happened in every fight I've ever been in. Ah!
Like, fuck it, I'm out of stuff. Grab a rock, get just whatever you have your hands on, and just chuck it at the person. I feel like throughout the history of fights, that's probably been a very common element.
You can see it in cave paintings.
Throwing shit at each other through history.
How do you think the frisbee was invented?
Yeah, I don't want to get close enough to actually punch this guy with my fist. He might punch me back. Throw shit at him.
You know, we've been talking about a lot how funny the movie is, but also as a horror movie, it's some really good horror. It's like
the guy hidden underneath the bed.
That still fucking creeps me out. Was that that was like Tiger Mask or something? I think it was.
I can't remember which one is which. I know without watching the scene. Yeah, I mean, you think like the bed, someone's under the bed, and of course there's someone under the bed.
And I think it's even worse that he then gets back underneath the beds. And having a character,
he's got a good vantage point there. He's not going to give it up.
He's got chips under there and everything.
Or like anytime there's a shot from outside looking in, that's just creepy. Especially when you see they have crossbows and they're just waiting. Like, I'm not going to take the shot now. I'll hold off.
Crossbows aren't used enough in horror movies. It's nice to see them get a play.
I like that bows and crossbows are suddenly becoming a big thing in movies. It's really inexplicable.
Fuck you, Hawkeye.
He's bringing them back.
David Goyer is personally responsible.
Arrows are so cool.
It's another great thing. I think Scream is one of the best horror films out there because it works as a comedy, because it works as a horror film. Your Next has that same tendency for it. If you want to watch it for the laughs, they're definitely there. You can laugh the whole time if you want. If you want to watch it for the horror elements, hey, that works just as well.
It even really works as an action movie, especially in the third act.
Yeah, for sure. It's everything in one package.
Well, that whole
it's like Buckaroo Banzai, baby. Everything at once.
that last scene in the kitchen with Aaron fighting everybody is just an awesome action scene.
It really is. I mean, anytime someone takes a blender to the face, I'm happy. That is a horror thing that needs to happen more often. Face blenders.
Dead Alive is your favorite movie.
Well, man, that's a good film.
And I like how kind of secretly the movie is the heroine is a chick and then the villain is a chick. Since Z is really the villain of the movie.
Well, she's driving everyone, manipulating them, and just completely batshit insane.
It's like there's like fucking 4 different movies going on at once that each slowly reveal themselves.
It's all directed by Ty West. That's Tyreek. He didn't really die. He's still alive.
He was the architect of the whole thing.
This is my design.
Maybe some kind of weird Scream 3 like reveal in a sequel.
It's all one big meta thing. It's weird. I'm so pissed this movie didn't make more money, though. Who would not love to see a Your Next 2?
I know. I want to see an entire Aaron franchise.
I would love to know what the fuck that sequel would be.
I don't know how you'd work this into something.
She becomes a private detective.
She's on the run from the cops. How did you explain the scenario? Like, there's 16 dead bodies in this house. I'm only responsible for half of them, and they were bad people.
It's like, I'm not the one with the fucking tiger mask on, so I don't think I'm the killer.
I feel like that would help, yeah, having the masks all around the guys in combat gear.
And look, he has patches on his jacket. He's clearly a bad guy.
Evil professor.
Professor Death.
I also feel like the main reason this film is successful, it uses a jaunty, great song. And I think horror movies should do that more often. Like, can you just imagine, you know, if Kokomo was playing in a Friday the 13th film? Good Vibration starts... and Jason's there with a machete just hacking through people. There's a chase scene going on, and people are just tearing it up, and that's playing. Oh, I would love that. And I feel like this got pretty close to that.
Oh, I've got that second Friday reboot coming out, so who knows?
TV series.
Those ideas are up for grabs. Go ahead and use them, whoever's producing. I won't sue.
Yeah, technically, that song is probably still playing in that house.
No one ever turns it off.
No one ever turned it off. No one knows those people are dead.
Yeah, those cops are going to be so confused. Like, okay, goddammit, we got, whatever it is, 14 bodies in house 1. And let's talk to the neighbors, see if they heard anything. Oh, goddammit, more dead people.
One of the cops just walks into the kitchen. Ty West, no!
I know that one segment of VHS was pretty bad, but the rest was good.
He directed the Innkeepers.
I had high hopes for the Sacrament. Seriously, though, it looks like it could be good.
John Lee saw it at Glasgow Fright Fest and said it was like the best movie there.
Nice. I'm even more excited now.
Glasgow.
That comes from a horror comic writer.
We've got the in.
Glasgow.
But enough name dropping for one podcast.
I guess as long as I'm throwing out stuff I love about the movie, because fuck it, that's on topic.
I mean, isn't that what the entire podcast is?
Normally it's all off topic and then it veers towards film at some point. This is weird because it's mostly film and then occasionally you guys let me wander. Another thing I love about the movie here is even though it's low budget, we're still getting tons of practical gore. They're not shying away from it. It's not one of those films where it's implied, oh, they got, hit in the head, but you never actually see any blood.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a zero-budget movie at all. It almost looks like it's a studio release.
Yeah, they didn't shy away from it. Like, if someone gets hit in the throat and they're bleeding out, you get to see them, like, grasping at their throat, blood pouring everywhere. Real blood instead of digital. I mean, I'm sure there are digital effects throughout the movie, but a majority of it isn't, which is very refreshing.
I think they said even most of the arrows weren't digital effects.
Yeah, they actually shot some arrows out. Like, it took them forever to reset things because they had to, like, set up plywood to get the splinters to look right or something like that.
That's another great thing that also kind of adds to the comedy of the scenes. It reminded me a lot of Super, where like, in any other movie like that, the gore would be played cartoonishly, or there just wouldn't be gore at all. But when somebody gets hurt here, it fucking looks like somebody in real life getting hurt.
Yeah, except for that opening
horrifying
scene.
And kind of comical.
Except for, like, the first scene, the guy gets hit in the head and there's, like, that giant sploosh of blood across the window. But other than that, like, in the rest of the film, if someone gets hit, it looks kind of how I would expect it. Like, if you had to pull a giant shard of glass out of your leg, that's kind of how I expect it to go. Really painful, lots of blood everywhere, but not shooting spurts of it like a Tarantino film. And, yeah, that nail-stepping scene is one of the most squeamish things I can think of. Especially since he has to step on it, like, 3 times when he's jumping around in pain. You're just driving it in more.
Even bad people shouldn't step on nails.
So painful. But there's so much. Guys get stabbed in the face, hit with axes. Erin, like her first big move in the movie, she kicks a guy in the balls, then smacks his leg out with a meat tenderizer, then pummels him to death with it.
Horror in the kitchen.
Yeah. Boiling pots of water. People getting hit with crossbow bolts.
Of Carnage.
That'd be a great title to have. Why isn't that like a movie?
MacGyver of Carnage.
That would have been the sequel.
That would have been it. She just goes around the world trying to find bad people and hurt them.
Everyone's next.
It would be like the imaginary sequel to Teeth.
Jesus.
What do you think happened to that chick?
I think she went around the country and she bit the dicks off murderers and rapists.
She became Aaron. She thought she had finally found a good man, but she was wrong.
Or A.J. Bowen's penis.
And I feel like that could be a short story. Just that. That's a great title.
A.J. Bowen's penis?
Poor A.J. Bowen's penis.
It sounds like a turn-of-the-century Irish novel.
It's very, very ponderous. A tale for the modern age.
Would his penis also be really good at giving long speeches?
I do love that's like a running thing now in Wingard's movies. Like, fuck it, just bring him out and have him tell everyone what's going on. I hide him away for most of the movie and just have him appear at the end so we know.
He is pretty much like the Watcher of the Wingard verse.
I think there's a Wingard verse.
There is in our hearts.
That's the great thing about these low-budget, the Mumblegore films. These guys are producing pretty regularly. They don't really have a year and a half between projects where they're just sitting in pre-production thinking shit out, or they're having convinced some studio head they should be given $100 million. Like, here's some pocket change. Go film something cool. See you in 4 months.
Stay out of trouble, kids.
Yeah. Like, I think the shoot for this movie was something like 26 days or something, under a month.
Yeah.
Considering most films, just take forever if you can include pre-production to get through, it's amazing to think they were able to get so much done in that amount of time.
Well, give it up for Adam Wingard.
Yeah.
And Simon Barrett.
Yeah, that whole crew, actually.
Yeah.
We forgive you for the wraparound segment of VHS.
I'm still alright with that. I think it's building to something. Eventually. VHS Viral is going to explain it all.
We are recording this on the day that was announced.
Oh,
Yeah.
Timely.
Except for Wingard doesn't have any involvement in this one, does he?
No, I don't think so. Oh.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a bummer.
So we're not getting booze make the ghosts go away again. So.
Hey, that is a valid entry in ghost lore.
I'm all for it.
That just sounds like,
who's complaining about that?
that just sounds like a short story. Boobs make the ghosts go away. A memoir by James Lewis.
I'll take 8 copies.
What we're saying is Box Office Pulp recommends You're Next.
Box Office Pulp heartily recommends You're Next.
Also, Michael Fassbender recommends You're Next.
Box Office Pulp recommends watching You're Next with your friends and family, but not having sex with your dead mother on a bed next to a psychopath.
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
In which case, Box Office Pulp says, go for it, man.
Box Office Pope recommends watching Shame to see Michael Fassbender's luscious penis.
Or he almost had sex with his sister. Spoilers.
Box Office Pulp recommends watching Jonah Hex, not for any other scene except for the part where Michael Fassbender blows up a train.
And is the Riddler.
Box Office Pulp wishes he could forget Jonah Hex.
Box Office Pope was confused by that whole Dragon Ball subplot.
They really did look like Dragon Balls. Didn't make that connection till now.
Going back to having sex next to the dead mother thing.
Yeah.
If Wendy Glenn said that to me, I'd do it. It's pretty hot.
It's good to know your priorities.
I'm just
You
saying.
can trust a man who's that open.
I think Felix was the victim there.
Weren't we all the victims?
Boy, that's deep. Probably
All
not there.
trapped in her deadly.
Shit. Well, goddamn. We had an ending to the podcast. Now we have this big nebulous question, and I don't know how to answer that.
Well, that's
Instead, I'm just going to tell viewers to go home and think quietly about their lives and how you would set up your home for a home invasion. Kind of like, Home Alone suggestions are always welcome. Paint cans, maybe? I don't know. Think about it. Be prepared.
Can someone also edit together You're Next and Home Alone, so replace the mass killers with just Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern?
My God.
The Wet Bandits.
I want to see that happen. I want that in my life.
I'm sure that exists on YouTube somewhere.
I don't know. YouTube produces a lot of stuff, but not all the quality.
James, sing Looking for the Magic.
I'll send you the lyrics.
Oh, we've gone too far. It should just end.
We had an actual ending to the podcast. Now it's too late. We can't double back.
No,
You can't just edit.
just edit. Just end it. Just end it.
I don't like
God.
editing those parts out. It's so much. It's more authentic this way. Now, Hero sing the goddamn lyrics, and I'll add some sound effects of us getting slaughtered.
All my life I've been looking for the magic. I've been looking for the fantasize on a silly little tragic. I've been looking for the magic in my eyes.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. We're Box Office Pulp, and hopefully I will not be murdered by an axe-wielding goat man in my sleep. Oh, thank you. Good night.
And like that, he's gone.
I would like to know what song I was singing, because I'm not looking for the magic.
What did I send you?
No, it was that was the song, just the melody, because I have no memory of what that song sounds like.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure those are the lyrics. Should have sent you the YouTube.
The YouTube.